When I think about the word redemption, I can't help but think about it in the New Testament context, and the word there is literally kind of like buying back. It's the ransom, it's the paying for a release, it's releasing somebody from slavery, it's all those sort of things. So when I think about redemption, I think about God enacting something that's costly for the purpose of liberation, for setting free, for restoring relationships, things like that. So when we think about redemption, and the question is, what are we redeemed from? It's been answered in countless ways. I think for me, it would have to do something with our diseased refusal to love as God loves. And I say diseased refusal because I want to get both the sense that our will is involved, but it's also something that is just broken in us all. It's a disease that we need to be healed from as much as it is a guilt we need to be forgiven for. And I see that in the biblical narrative of what we call the fall, because they clearly transgressed God's command. At the same time, they're deceived, they're childlike, they don't necessarily know what they're doing, but they did it. Here's what I would say about God's love. It's not that God wills to love or just simply chooses to love or decides at a certain point to love. It's that God's very nature, God's whole being, is reciprocal relational love. And God creates the whole world out of this love. And God creates a world that is designed to engage in that kind of relational reciprocity. And for it to be truly relational and reciprocal, it requires freedom. We're built in that it's free. And this isn't just humans, all of creation is free. And it's that failure to give back God's love that to me is at the heart of our need for redemption. So the God of love creates all things in love in order that they will love. And this breaks down at a certain point, right? If it's love, if God is love, then again, it's born in freedom, right? And that means that when we think about God's creation, we have to think about it as potential. It's always just full of potential. Otherwise, it isn't free, right? We often talk about the fall as though sin enters the world at this crucial moment when humans decide to rebel and all that. And there's a sense in which that's true. But before the humans do anything, there's a darkness, and there's the deep, and there's this snake in the garden already leading humans into this question of whether God can be trusted. Now, I don't think we therefore blame God like there's something faulty with creation. I think it's the nature of creation that it is always free and always full of potential, and that's required by love. Love has to operate this way. And even when humans transgress, they could have responded differently. They could have leaned together in their grief and confessed their sin and lamented what happened. They could have become one as they were meant to be, and they don't. Instead, they turn and they blame and they run and they hide, and this is sort of paradigmatic of what humans do. We continue that Adam pattern of running and hiding and blaming and fighting and fleeing. And yet God never gives up. That's the other thing about the way we often talk about the fall, is we talk about it as though we somehow lose God's direct presence, that we're banished from the garden and all. But God is still the same God of love who's always there, always seeking reciprocal relationship. God, from beginning to middle to end, has always been consistent and unending love, right? And it's the human incapacity to really grasp this and to live into that love that is our persistent problem. We continue to run and hide. We continue to try to talk about God as though God isn't even here, that we can get our brain around who God is without involving God in the process, right?